I think that human beings naturally are pretty negative and pessimistic. We're always looking for the next best thing. And so having a day specific where we stop and we go, hold on a second. We might not have everything that we think that we want, but the reality is we actually do have everything. It gets really easy to get caught up in thinking that I need something else in order to be happy. And you miss out on what you already have.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to the Strong by Design podcast. I had Jared do the countdown, this silly countdown that I do for our editor. I don't know, it's like a mindset thing that I do. I do like a slow 3, 2, 1.
But you don't do it like that. It has a cadence to it.
It does have a cadence.
It's 3, 2, 1. Hi.
You're right, though. It's funny. We just fall into these rhythms and habits.
Hey, whatever gets you
whatever works,
focused and ready to roll.
That's it.
Know?
I'm focused. I'm ready to roll.
And there's no question.
Coffee.
When Chris is starting, it's
no. There's a
it'll
pause.
It's like we're having this conversation, and all of a sudden you just go 3, 2.
Yes.
1.
I put on my podcast demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Welcome to the Strong by Design podcast, my friend. Thank you for sitting in the chair with me today.
Absolutely.
Well, not in my chair. You're in your own chair.
I am.
We're opposite each other in the same type of chair.
Frank Rich was in here recording with you. I don't feel like I quite feel the chair out as much as
you don't
does.
feel that chair. You're about half of Frank's body.
Frank is, yeah.
He's just such a monster.
Yeah.
So today, for all of our new listeners, past listeners, today we're talking Thanksgiving, we're talking gratitude, we're talking good feelings, blessings, and all things Thanksgiving related. But to have some fun to kick us off, I think Jared had a couple little ideas.
Oh, sure. Well, I was
hit on it first.
I was just kind of curious, what is an absolute must at your Thanksgiving table? Like food-wise?
Yeah. That's a good question. For me, an absolute must, ever since I was little, is I need mashed potatoes.
Okay, yep.
And I want, the real mashed potatoes.
Not a box?
Not boxed.
Yeah.
During the year, I can get away with some of them dry, flaky, if I just need a side to something, you can always hit that. Mm-hmm. But I just remember helping my mom making those mashed potatoes and hitting them with the whipping. What the heck is that thing?
I know what you're talking about. The
blender.
It's not a blender. But
No, I know. It's a handheld.
I know it's a mixer.
Mixer. Just
the hand mixer.
But just peeling the potatoes and cutting them and boiling them and then adding the milk and the butter and just the whole thing and. Half my plate would be mashed potatoes. Still to this day, that's kind of the thing I lean on as that's my foundation of everything else on my plate.
I'm the mashed potato guy.
You are?
I make garlic mashed potatoes. Ooh. And my brother-in-law is actually a really good cook. And when we were living next door to them, my wife, Christiana, she's like, you got to let Jared make the mashed potatoes. And he's like, I don't know.
He didn't want to relinquish.
He didn't want to relinquish it because he didn't know, because I can't make a lot of stuff very good.
But you make one.
And so I said, I'm going to do it. And I made them whether he wanted me to or not. And I brought them. And after that, he's like, okay, these are phenomenal. You get to make the mashed potatoes from here on out.
Interesting.
So it's like my one staple thing that I can do.
Yeah.
And what I really like to do is I like to have mashed potatoes with the gravy.
Yes.
And I like to have corn.
Yes.
And turkey. And I like to get a little turkey on my fork.
Yeah.
And get some corn and some mashed potatoes.
I'm the same way.
And it's like
and a little gravy, right?
It's like,
you gotta have
the gravy.
I know you're a sauce gravy guy.
I am a sauce guy. Yeah, it's like the perfect Thanksgiving bite.
That plate right there.
My wife would add stuffing.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing missing out of that equation you just concocted there. Mm-hmm. I'm not eating a Thanksgiving meal because I'm looking for my healthy
I'm looking for a good nap.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do I like broccoli and some asparagus,
Yep.
some of these other vegetables that peas, whatever some greens that can go on to your plate? Sure, I'll eat it.
Yep.
But like, I'm not craving that. On Thanksgiving, I want my mashed potatoes. I want good gravy, usually made from the turkey that was cooked. Stuffing, preferably that was stuffed in the bird.
Yep.
But if not, I'm fine with it because I've had some other good varieties of stuffings before. I love a good stuffing. Corn. I'll do even corn on the cob. Not a bad way to go.
Sure.
If you can hack it.
Yep.
But otherwise, a nice buttery corn on the side there, and
a roll.
A roll.
A roll
with
is
butter.
important.
Yeah, a roll's important.
Yeah,
I like
because
because you got to be able to sop up some
like
of
a
that
nice
stuff,
dinner
too.
roll.
Nice dinner roll. Maybe even two of them.
Like a good dinner roll.
Yeah.
So
you and I we'd be comparable.
Yes.
Our
so
plates
there's
would
one
look-
thing
yeah.
for me
Okay.
that's not on that list that it's unique to our family that we have to have every year. And it's funny because I remember having it every year growing up. And it's this orange Jell-O with like the mandarin oranges inside of it.
Oh, okay.
And then it's topped with like this Cool Whip
Yeah.
like
Okay.
topping, like the white Cool Whip on top.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're
And my
talking
mom mixes the Cool Whip with like a vanilla flavored Jell-O, and it's so good. And
So that's like your little
So,
dessert. On the
it's not
side.
even
It's kind
it's
of
not
a dessert.
it is sugar, but it's on the plate with everything else.
It's like having a donut with
It
it.
is.
You know? I mean, like, yeah, I guess.
But it's funny because like 2 or 3 years ago, my mom didn't make it, and I'm like,
What's going on?
Mom, where's the Jell-O? And she's like, I never make Jell-O for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Like she forgot?
Yeah. And I'm like, you always make this. And she's like, no, that's Christmas. And my sister's like, no, it's not.
She like forgot what holiday she normally makes
Yeah. I don't know what happened, but now she knows. And they're coming next week
And so
for
she's gotta-
Thanksgiving. And
she
I
knows what her
guarantee
job
you
is.
that what I've
You
done.
better talk her up a little
he-
bit ahead of time so she's prepared.
Well, listen, ever since we moved to Florida, since we can't do Thanksgiving together,
Yeah.
like either the day before, because you have to let the Jell-O sit overnight. So typically the night before Thanksgiving, like Wednesday night, I would FaceTime my mom and we would both make it together,
Interesting.
which is fun.
It's like a Publix commercial.
Yeah.
Where you guys are like talking to each other over the phone,
Exactly,
cooking
yeah.
together,
and she's
and like
taking
how
me
you
through
miss
the
each
steps
other
and stuff like that. And it's been kind
I
of
always cry on
it's
them.
been a fun little Thanksgiving tradition
Yeah.
for me since we got here. So I guess
cool.
I make two things. I make the mashed potatoes, and I make the mandarin orange Jell-O, which is
It's every family
My kids
has
love
their
it,
like
too.
their
Now we call it-
odd-
we
their
call it
odd
Nana's
side
Jell-O.
dish. Yeah, Nana's
Nana's Jell-O.
Nana's Jell-O.
Nana's Jell-O,
I
yeah.
like it. Very important question.
Yeah.
White or dark meat?
I've always been a white guy.
You
Clearly.
you certainly have, clearly.
But my wife she thinks it's too dry.
Yeah.
And so she's very much a dark meat person.
Right.
And now I can go either way. Like I still like the white meat, and as long as it has like gravy and stuff like that.
That's
and,
what I mean.
And the white meat is great for like sandwiches. Like that's another great thing about Thanksgiving is the leftovers.
Sure. Leftovers are great.
But like she's really taught me to appreciate dark meat.
Yeah. My mom always seemed to lean towards the dark meat. I think when I was younger, I was always about the white meat.
Yeah.
The white meat. And I didn't care as much about it being dry or whatever.
Right.
You know, when you're a kid, you're more
I still
picky.
don't know that I do.
Now I love both.
Mm-hmm.
I want some of both. I want some dark meat. I want some white meat. I want the gravy on it. I want, I kind of, as I've gotten older, I've gotten more just open to kind of everything,
Sure.
all the flavors.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dark meat really has more flavor to it. Is more moist
Yeah.
typically. So, but yeah.
It's-
And then what's that? Go
I was
ahead.
just going to ask you, is there one Thanksgiving dish that is very popular that you never eat?
Ooh. Popular Thanksgiving dish
Mm-hmm.
that I never eat. Now, it's become that green bean casserole thing highly popularized.
I hate it.
We
That's mine. I hate it.
Okay, so I took
hate
it.
green bean casserole.
Okay, you hate it.
Yeah, I
With
never
passion.
touch it.
All right, I will eat it.
I avoid it with
There's crispy onions on top.
all of it. None of it.
Okay,
No good.
okay,
I don't want it.
No good, don't want it.
It's not on my plate.
okay. I will eat it gladly.
Mm-hmm.
On this, it's not like the first thing I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
You already know. I've already told you what I'm going for. 1, 2, 3. It's a complimentary item. I'll take a scoop. I'll put it next to my stuffing or whatever. Kind of mix it in. You get a little crunch from the onions, and I don't mind it because I like green beans. Generally,
Yeah.
I like green beans.
Yeah.
But I could take it or leave it. If I didn't have it, if it wasn't on the table, I'm not like losing sleep over it. The other thing is too, there's people that do lean towards the ham and don't really do the turkey.
Yes.
Right?
We have to do the ham.
Yeah. Oh, so you have to do. So what do you have? One of each?
Yeah, and actually, we already have a ham, so we're gonna cook it this week, so that we can have like some ham now. Then we freeze it. That way, on Thanksgiving, it's easy just to warm it up
Sure.
because we don't have
ready to
two
go.
ovens.
Right.
We can't cook the ham and the turkey at the
Right.
same time.
Right.
So that way, we have the ham and the turkey, and the oven is reserved for the turkey.
I can go either way too. With like if
But the turkey's
I
it's
know.
the staple Thanksgiving, so you can't
it
get
is.
rid of the turkey.
No, I agree.
But you got to have the ham,
I do like the ham.
the honey ham.
The honey ham. Yeah, it's great. It's delicious.
Yep.
I've been at Thanksgivings where there was no turkey and it was just the ham.
Just ham.
And I wasn't like, miserable. Still
you-
had everything
yeah.
else.
Yeah, you're sitting
but
at the end of the
I
table,
kinda-
refusing to eat.
Yeah.
No, I don't eat till I get my turkey.
At the end of the day, as long as the meat's good,
Yeah.
the honey ham, so good. Really like it.
Yep.
Like both. So, like I said, I'm anything but picky. I was far more picky when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I just appreciate good food. If if it's well made,
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy
Yeah.
it. Ham,
I've
you can't
learned-
really screw up ham.
And I've learned to like put the things on my plate that I really want to eat,
Yeah, right.
because there's stuff that I'm like, And actually, like what Cristiano's gotten really good is like making like really good appetizers. So like even like the devil's eggs.
Oh yeah,
Deviled eggs.
Deviled
Eggs, yeah.
Deviled eggs. The
The devil's eggs. That's what I call them. They're the devil's eggs. And she makes
I like
makes
it.
all kinds of different like. She has like this like Thanksgiving, like cranberry slider thing.
Ooh, interesting.
That's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going down this road. Let's go a little deeper. Have you ever had too many of those things, and then you're like, dinner? We can't eat
Here's
too
the
early
thing.
because I'm not even going to be able to put away a good
Thanksgiving
meal.
is so weird
Yeah.
because you never eat on time, and you always end up eating at like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Way early,
and everyone's
right?
like, "Yeah,"
Right.
but it's because the goal was like 1.
Right.
And you don't eat till like 4, and everyone's hungry. So
But-
those appetizers are nice at like noon.
Yeah, you got to go. That's
so
what
like
I was
she
kind
would
of getting
she
to.
would make them in the morning so that when we go over to the house,
Yeah. Light breakfast that day.
yeah, no, or none,
Or none.
and then you just eat the appetizers
Right.
to hold you over.
Yeah.
That way you're ready.
That's how we would
For the
play
meal.
it. I miss my mom so much. It's been 8 years since my mom's been gone, and but that's typically where we would go for Thanksgiving. We'd go to my mom's. It didn't feel like a holiday if I wasn't at mom's house, and we would typically avoid breakfast, or very, very small, because we knew as soon as we walked in the door, it was. We
Yep.
used to call them like snick snacks or whatever we
Yeah,
would
yeah.
call it. My mom was a preparer and
Like a hostess.
hostess, totally. She came from a restaurant. She worked in restaurants her whole life.
Hospitality.
So it was always in service of everyone else. Eat this. I made so much. You have to eat. You have to eat. She was the one begging me to have a second and third plate.
Yeah.
Because she knew Chris is gonna.
Yeah.
He's coming. He's coming with his appetite. He's getting, I would always.
You're
it's
looking a little
almost like,
thin, Chris.
Yeah, well, those types of comments, or and then of course I'm absolutely miserable after. Passed out
Yeah.
asleep on the sofa by
Love it.
by
Yeah.
4:15 because you've eaten
So there's
to the
something
point of-
beautiful
Yeah.
about the sound of a crowd in a football game?
Yeah.
It's like a white fan noise.
It's unbelievable.
So if you eat a lot
Yes.
and then turn on a football game,
and that Lions or
and just-
Cowboy game is
and
on.
just crash.
I know it. So it's a wonderful thing, and then you kind of groggy.
That's Thanksgiving.
You're waking up, and I hear John Madden's voice in my head right
Sure.
now. Right, I hear John Madden
Yeah.
talking about turducken.
And here's what drives me crazy about any holiday
Okay.
is when all it is work.
Yes.
You're preparing
I know.
a meal all morning.
Yes.
You eat, and now you're trying to clean it all up.
Right.
I'm like, that's not a holiday.
Right.
This is just like a work day doing different work. And that drives me crazy.
I know.
And so we try really hard, or I try really hard to be intentional of, okay, how can we do this so that we actually get to just chill and relax and,
Yes.
and not feel like we're working the whole time.
I know it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
No, I'm right there with you. It's
Maybe I'm
it's
just lazy.
supposed to be a day of just gathering and togetherness and laughter and being with people that are very important to you.
Yeah.
That's what makes Thanksgiving so great. So on that topic, is there a Thanksgiving in particular that resonates or sticks
Sure.
out for you that was like a really good one? Especially,
I don't know if there's one in particular.
Okay.
I mean, so we were either with my mom's family or my dad's family, for Thanksgiving, and both were great.
Yeah.
When everyone gets together. I remember my grandparents lived in Kansas, and so we would drive out there, and their kitchen was very small, so they would set like tables up in their garage. And so I remember just everybody being out in the garage and playing games with the cousins. And one year in particular, I remember we went. They were by like a big field, and we went out and played football. Everybody, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then my dad's family all lived in Colorado, where we were. So if we did that, it was we'd go over there all day to my aunt and uncle's house, and it was awesome. I mean, being just all of us cousins, just we got along so well, and we're so close and had so much fun together.
Yeah.
So I don't, the fun thing about my parents, my dad's side of the family is the adults would all play cards and drink coffee after the meal. And so I always thought that was really cool. And I wanted to play cards and drink coffee, and so that still is like a thing where being able to gather around the table and play. They always played a game called Books and Runs. That was like it's kind of an adaptation of Rummy,
Okay.
which is a really, really, I still like to play it.
There's so many good card games.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what you grew up playing and what you gravitate to.
And my grandma Shirley was the one who taught me how to play. So when I was in preschool or kindergarten, I only went to school half a day, and my mom was working. So she would take me to be with my grandma for half the day, and then grandma would drop me off at, I don't remember if preschool or kindergarten, whichever it was. But it was during that time that my grandma actually taught me how to play Books and Runs, so that when the families got together, I would get to play with the adults.
I have the same similar feelings and memories of gathering with my grandparents on both sides. If my dad's parents are up from Florida, but we typically go to my mom's parents' house in North Jersey, and my Aunt Grace and Uncle Cliff, who didn't live that far away, was like a third set of grandparents.
Yeah,
they would come, and my cousins would be there on my mom's side, and such a great time. My older brothers and cousins, and they had just awesome house on this beautiful property, and all being there together. And I can just think back to watching my grandpa eat. I used to like just watching him eat corn on the cob, speaking of, at many Thanksgivings. But in particular, a Thanksgiving memory for me growing up playing football and with Mike winning the high school's first championship on Thanksgiving Day. The Western Connecticut Conference, back when that existed, the WCC.
What position did you play?
I was a outside linebacker on defense and a left tackle on the offensive line.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Wasn't Mike a linebacker too?
We were small and speedy. Mike was an end.
A defensive end?
No, He was a cornerback
Really?
defensively. He was an tight end on offense.
Oh.
Yeah, Mike had some good hands and was
Okay.
fast and tall. Mm-hmm. So he was a good end. I would say he was probably even better defensively as a cornerback.
Interesting.
His hitting and tackling and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the first time in our school's history, we won a championship, and it was a great year of football with playing. And those are the buddies the guys that we've gone and done like some of these Brofest trips with.
Okay.
These
From
are
that team?
from that same team.
Okay, that's
And,
cool.
So we've been friends for a very long time. Still have a text thread with there's 6 of us that
Yep.
just still high school
Yep.
boy humor
Yep.
in there all these years later. But yeah, Thanksgiving, winning a championship and then going back home, watching football, eating, falling asleep, feeling so good that we won and
Good and fat.
yeah, good and fat. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Cool.
So the whole notion of Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving. What do you think of when you first, besides take the holiday away and the food? What else are you
Yeah,
thinking
I
about?
mean, I think we're all thinking about that. What can we be thankful for? And how can we show gratitude? Specifically, I mean, for us and our family, what are we thankful that God has provided for us, as a family? I think that human beings naturally are pretty negative and pessimistic. We're always looking for the next best thing. And so having a day specific where we stop and we go, hold on a second. We might not have everything that we think that we want, but the reality is we actually do have everything, I mean, for the most part. I mean, obviously there are people out there who might be listening that they're like, well, I just got evicted from my house or something, okay, that's a real need. But for us, as we're sitting around, man, it gets really easy to get caught up in thinking that I need something else in order to be happy. And you miss out on what you already have. Right, so being able to pause and be grateful for the things that we already have. Sometimes I think, like we moved from Colorado. We moved out here from it was like a 2,800 square foot house, and we moved into a 1,400 square foot townhome. Right, we had a big backyard. We lived right next door to my sister. We were at the end of a cul-de-sac in a smaller town, so the kids could go out and ride their bikes, and we could sit on the porch and watch them, and they could go back and forth. There's a lot of really good things happening. And now we live in a townhome. We don't have a garage. We don't have a basement. We only have 1,400 square feet. We don't even have a backyard, right? And
it's all shared property.
It's all shared property, yeah. And for 2 years, I kept thinking, man, this is only temporary. Like, as soon as we can get into a house with then we'll be happy. We'll be good. And recently, I've been thinking through that, going, if we were in a bigger house right now, what would we probably be doing? And I'm like, I don't know that our lives would be all that much different. We'd still want to sit down on the couch and watch family movies together. We would still want, like, our kids, it's not like they can't go outside and play. They can. I was telling you just a little bit ago that they have great neighborhood friends that'll come, and there's like this little alleyway in between the two townhomes and some grass and things, and they go out there and they play football with each other. They play soccer. They're outside playing. We can still get their bikes out and go to the street and let them ride their bike up and down the street and I mean, it's I think that we get convinced. I don't know if it's our culture. It's absolutely our culture, or it's this idea that bigger is better, or I need a better car, or I need this, or I need that. And we get caught up in the if onlys. If only I had X, Y, Z, then I would be happy. And I'm grateful for Thanksgiving, where it brings me to a place to go, hold up a second, let me stop and pause and go, you know what? There's a lot of really great things that God has given me that I can be thankful for. And my kids are all healthy. We have food to eat. We have a place to sleep at night. I have a job to go to. And just the thing that God is doing with me or with Cristiano or with our kids, the way that he's teaching us, the things he's leading us to. There's just so many things that, Paul says to be content in all circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. Whether things are good or things are bad, learning to be content and thankful and have that spirit of gratitude about us. And I just think that it does such good things for my heart and my soul, to be walking around with gratitude as opposed to walking around with pessimism.
Yeah.
I brought this scripture up to you earlier as we were talking about this, and it's from 1 Thessalonians 5:18, and everything give thanks, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus, right? Like, this is God. We always talk about what's God's will for your life. His will is for you to stop and be thankful. And we have a whole day and a whole holiday kind of moment where we get to do that.
Yeah. We get so caught up in our material goods and what we have, what we don't have, what we think we need, what we want.
And equating that to our identity and value.
Right. And to our joy and to our contentment. And it's not a bad thing to want things for yourself. I mean, sure. I want to do projects for our home because, I'm excited about getting new windows installed. I'm excited about all new gutters.
Yeah.
I'm excited about removing this tree in the backyard. All these things cost a lot of money. And I know I'll like our home even more when we get there. And I can do some of the landscaping projects that I want, but I can't do that until I got the new gutters. But I'm not doing the gutters until the windows get installed. So everything has a timetable, but it doesn't mean that I can't be happy now.
Right.
And ultimately, when I reflect on a day like Thanksgiving, or I'm trying to live in gratitude every day of my life, certainly in prayer and stuff. And you've caught me many times in my office on my knees, just praying for the day, praying over our team, praying over my family, those things. What am I praying about? I'm praying for people. I'm praying for my health, my wife's health, my children's health, my coworkers' health, my family's, my brother, my stepdad. Ultimately, that's what matters, right? There's nobody that's in their deathbed who's saying, thank God I had that car back when I was 38 years old. That made me so happy. They're not thinking that's the furthest thing from their mind. They're thinking about the people they're surrounded by, or the people they wish they were surrounded by in that moment. And that's where I go, who can I be with today that's going to bring me that joy. And if I can't be with my mom, I can at least be with my brother, and we can talk about my mom on Thanksgiving and all the wonderful memories that we have of her and my brother, my brother Dave, who passed away.
My wife Christiana gave me a good truth bomb the other day as we were talking about wanting things. And it's funny that we always want things, but we don't want the responsibility that comes with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So when you're talking about a house, right? Like, man, if only I had, like, you can go on Zillow and look at these houses and they're all done up right, to make you want to buy them. And you think, oh, if we lived there, things would be better.
Oh, yeah.
But then all of a sudden you don't realize all of the things that come with it, or a car, you got to get tires, you got to get brakes, you got to maintain it. There's responsibility that comes with that thing. And I think that a lot of times we want all of the good things that come from something without the responsibility that comes from something. And to be able to recognize that and be like, okay, because even our house now, right? Like, there's things that need to be fixed. We've already had to replace the AC. We've already had to replace the hot water heater. The guy who remodeled it before us sprayed everything with like this latex paint, like all the trim and stuff, and it's all peeling off. And so now we have to go figure out, do we just pull off all the baseboards and put on new ones? Do we try to like sand them off? Like, there's just so much work involved. Even our staircase, like our doors, everything, like there's paint peeling everywhere, and it's like it looks like a mess. And we're like, oh well, if we could just sell this place and get a new place, then it would be better. And it's like, no, like there's going to be responsibilities with no matter what you get, you know.
Yep.
My car doesn't have AC. And so I think, well, if I trade it in and I get a car with AC, okay, well then I'll be happy. But then all of a sudden, like the engine quits, you know, and now I can't drive it. Like, you know, and that's what's worse, not having AC or not being able to drive your car at all, you know. And so it's like we can't be complainers all the time. We need to be positive. We need to be grateful and have gratitude for the things that in our lives that do work. And we need to learn. I mean, I think that's where the Holy Spirit really comes in and helps us to learn to be content literally in all circumstances, when things are good and when things are bad, and to keep our focus right. When my job, if my job's purpose is just to get more stuff, man, I'm going to be disappointed. But if my job is for sustainability so that God can use me to build his kingdom, and that's my focus, and this is just a piece of that, like my life, you know what I mean? It's a shift of focus. It's a shift of my thought process. So honestly, I think that's where Thanksgiving is a really good, positive thing, because it can help us reshift our minds into the right space that we need to be in.
Yeah, it makes me think of oftentimes when things are really good, we do a lousy job of praising and thanking God for all the blessings, all the goodness, all the things that he's provided. And we end up just turning to him when we're at our low points, when we're in our those tough times, those difficulties, when we really need to lean on him. And he's going to be there, regardless. But you know,
as a good dad is,
as a good dad is. But we need to be able to praise him in both the low moments and the good ones. And
you know that my wife's been struggling with like daily migraine stuff.
Yes, I know.
And we've been praying, God heal her, God touch her, help us to figure out like what's going on.
Right. Right. Get her in the right office with somebody who's going to get this figured out.
And the Holy Spirit, like probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe spoke to me and just said, will you praise me even in her suffering? And can she praise me in her suffering? And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell her that. Like, you're going to have to tell her yourself. you know. Right. Sorry, babe, that your head hurts, but you should probably just praise Jesus. You know. But he did, and he's brought her to that space too, where she's like, you know what, this sucks and I hate it, but God is good. And for us to be able to still trust God and be thankful for what he's done for us in our lives, even though we're going through this low point. And really it does something to our ability to push forward and to have hope and to know that we're depending on something that's bigger than our situation.
Yeah. The suffering is as hard as it can be is really where we grow. Yeah. Where we can attach ourselves to other people in their difficulties, really see things from their perspective. And it's, you know, I'm not ever hopeful.
She's a lot more
or
sympathetic
looking for,
now when I have a migraine.
Yeah, well, right, exactly, right. It is. It brings us down to earth, and it gets us. It kind of redirects our focus of what really matters. You know, the things that we take for granted on a regular basis. You know, if you have a child that's ill or suffering in some way, that's all you can probably think about. You're not worried about anything else other than their health being restored. And when they hopefully have that health come back to them, it's like, yeah, man, enjoy that now every day. Praise God for that. You know, for
getting older does that to you a little bit as well.
Oh, so for sure. Because as you get older, you're gonna witness a lot more of the suffering. You're gonna witness people passing away.
And your life expectancy timeline is shortening.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, what am I focusing on?
I did. You ever done that? You ever drawn a line on a piece of paper?
Yeah,
from
several
birth?
times.
Okay. You're an idiot. So I urge any listener out here, right? Draw a line on a piece of paper from one end to the other. So figure like you got a 12-inch piece of paper in front of you. The starting point is the day you were born, and the ending point is the day you die. So let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say you make it to 100.
Sure.
Okay. Then plot on that line where you are currently, age-wise. Okay. So for me, I'm 48, soon to be 49 in January.
Did you buy your shovel?
I do have a couple shovels. So my dot is just about in the middle of that line.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you just rip the paper at that dot. That's what you got left.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, it's not to like try to convince you to forget
So
your
morbid,
past. I know, so morbid. But this is all you have left to work with here.
Makes that 30-year mortgage seem like a lot more, doesn't it?
I'll tell you, that's for darn sure.
It's more than half your life now. If you
But
only got
what's
100
funny
years
is funny you say that, because those are the types of things that don't eat me up at all. Like having that type of debt. Most of us have a mortgage or rent payments that are due, whatever
Yeah,
that
you're paying
case
something
is.
somewhere.
You're paying something, and you're probably going to be paying something for the rest of your life, unless you're fortunate enough to have paid off your mortgage in your 50s or 60s, and not all of us are there. I would like to think that once I'm in my early 60s, our mortgage will be paid off. And we have really good equity in our home. And, 10 years from now, I plan on the valuation of our home being significantly higher than where it is now, plus with all the things that we will have done to the house. I kind of laugh to myself. I'll say our house will be exactly everything we ever wanted. And then we're going to be selling it. Because I'm just kind of future pacing, like, do we stay in that? I don't know. Maybe we love it so much we wouldn't want to consider leaving, or you just you get a second home and you rent it out or something like that. But it's fun to think of those things, but not to get so caught up in the financials of it to the point of stress and anxiety, because I think a lot of people do live there.
Yeah.
I know my wife does. I'm speaking for her right now. Like that can really bug her.
Yeah.
This payment due. We still owe on this. This card still has this balance on it. Those things, and she is the one that does the bill pay. I always say, honey, I'll go earn it. You can be the one to get all the bills paid. But maybe because I don't look at those numbers as much, it doesn't give me any stress or anxiety.
Sure.
I just know in my life, I've always worked, I've always earned a good income, and I've always been able to provide for myself and for my family. So I don't let that anxiety kind of eke in, because I just know I'm, Lord willing, going to wake up tomorrow and keep going.
Yeah, that's good.
So I don't,
And again, it falls back to, regardless of the circumstances or where you're at, being able to be grateful for the things you do have and be able to live in those moments without
100%.
feeling like I don't want to live my whole life waiting for the next thing. I want to learn to be content in the moment, the season that I'm in.
You said the if only phrase, earlier, and that's exactly right. You know, if only I had this, I would be this. But how about I have my children, I have my wife, or I have whoever's listening, I have my dog, I have my neighbors, I have my sibling,
I have my shows,
I have my girlfriend or my boyfriend, I have my Netflix
subscription.
No. But typically it comes down to someone else or something else in your life, an animal, that brings you that type of joy and that kind of companionship. And I think that's what we're all longing for on some level. Some of us are a little bit more isolated and loners, and that's fine. And we're not super extroverted like me. But I love like the neighborhood I'm in, and I'm friends with all these people, and we hang out
neighborhood
together.
Was made for you.
Yeah. Totally. I live on a cul-de-sac, and I'm friends with a bunch of my neighbors in the cul-de-sac and on the neighboring street. And we like to do life together, and we all have children, and it's a huge bonus to have that. And what my children are able to have, they're able to go out and ride their bikes on their, and those are the things that I'm so grateful for, and that we can certainly take for granted. But
I love the
like
weather
to think
that we
I'm
have
not.
in Florida right now. Like every night when my kids are outside playing, I'm like, this is why we moved here.
Yeah, this is why you're here, right?
This is what we're here to do.
Yeah, you don't have the harsh winters, and the summers here are certainly hot, but they have a little thing called air conditioning.
They do.
That makes life bearable for about 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even mind it. Like the heat.
No, you like the warmth, and really, the miserable heat starts in June. It's June, July, August, and for the most part September. You already get a break in October, and so from
June
now
isn't even all that bad. It's like July, August.
Yeah, right. And then it's just awesome, like all the way into May.
Yeah,
like really.
Yep.
And so I'm really looking forward to that. So no, that's fun.
One might say we're thankful.
One might say. So I urge all the listeners, live in gratitude, reflect on all the things that are in your life that if you didn't have them, how much you would miss them.
Yeah.
And for me, that's people.
Yeah.
100%. I'm not thinking about possessions at all. So, and I know that's the same for you. And, it's love God, love people, right? Because without God and others, this life, people are trying to fill that gap with material things, and it just never works out. Never works out. So, so thankful. Thankful for you, man.
Yeah, man.
3 years in now. Unbelievable. 3 years ago, like right now, that interview process was like in full-fledged. Like we were starting to interview people. And I think, was it December of 21 when we did the one over the computer with you, or was it January of 22? It was right around there.
Right around in there. Yeah, I think I was just applying at this point.
Yeah. We were ready for our video, and we were looking to hire one. And we ended up hiring both, you and Steve-O, because we couldn't. We just thought, wow, we like both these guys so much, we're just going to hire them both. So, it's great. Been a good road. Thanks for joining me on today's special episode, buddy.
You bet.
Who are you going to be with for? That's right. You have your parents coming for Thanksgiving, so you're going to do it at your home. Yeah, and mommy's going to make her Jello.
I sure hope so.
Her orange Jello.
We're kicking her out.
Craziness. Yeah, you better send her to Publix on Wednesday.
That's right.
Make sure she has all the ingredients. No, this has been a lot of fun, and we hope all of you listening are going to be spending your Thanksgiving with friends and family members, neighbors, whatever it is, coworkers, people that you really enjoy being with, and that you can just celebrate each other and how important you are in each other's lives. And I know I'm looking forward to being with my brother and his wife's family, that we are invited to their house. So all the cousins will be together, so that'll be nice. And I don't know why my eye's tearing up. I don't think I'm crying. I think
You're very sad.
I'm very sad. But this has been fun, and we're thankful for all of our listeners at this time as well. So please share this episode with friends or family members, anyone who could use a little bit of a correction or a redirect in their lives, to focus on the blessings in their lives, and to live with more gratitude, which is one of our core values here at Critical Bench, to have that gratitude. And we look forward to another episode next week. Every Wednesday here, we release a new episode on the Strong by Design podcast. Easy for me to say. We look forward to what's coming at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. Some great stuff coming for all of you. So we'll talk with you then. God bless you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.